있단 말해 나밖에 없다고 말해
Transition of the light. That is so hard, bro.
For me 너의 향기로 I believe in miracles Energy like that
What's up, world? It is Action Fredo. I am live with legendary, arguably the greatest songwriter of our generation. I got to give this man his flowers. Adrian McKinnon, man. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Oh, man. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hello. I'm Adrian McKinnon, singer, songwriter, producer. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, Alfredo, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. One of the biggest flex of my lifetime, I'm going to get this out the way, is that I reached out to this man and I said, I'm Alfredo from Higher Faculty, and said, I'm familiar. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
You get a chance to check out K-pop reactions. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a guilty pleasure because it's cool to see the reactions of, individuals, good or bad, just to see kind of, it's a way to test the waters.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a deciding factor for what I do in the future, but it's just good to kind of sample what the reactions are. And like they tell you never to check the comments, but I'm always checking comments.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But,
I'm guilty too, man, because we started this journey and we didn't know anything about K-pop, and it kind of happened by chance. The first K-pop song I've ever heard in my life was 90s Love. And I heard a little sample of it in the shower. And me and LC was like, let's do some reactions, man. Let's try to grow a YouTube channel. And long story short, my partner LC, sorry, he's not here. He couldn't make it today. But he didn't want to do it. He was like, I'm not really into pop, especially Korean pop. I mean, no offense, I've never heard anything like that. And I convinced him to do it. And we woke up to maybe a couple hundred views and a few hundred subscribers. And we were like, yo, what? Like, this is crazy. The music was crazy. Let's do it again. And then it just manifested into us doing hundreds of reactions, man. And then when I came across you and your body of work, I'm like, he has all my favorites.
Well, man, I'm happy to hear that. That's awesome. What's funny is like you, I wasn't necessarily into K-pop at first either. I didn't really know much about it. I was in sort of the R&B. At first, I was like, well, it's very extravagant. And so when I saw it kind of looking at it in the distance, I had cousins who were really into K-pop and they would play me a quick snippet of something, but it wasn't the right setting for me to hear it. So I was kind of like, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. I see there's a lot of excitement and color, and that's cool. That's not necessarily my style, like partner. And so it wasn't until I found other K-pop groups that kind of did something else closer to my tastes. I don't know.
Yeah.
To where it was like, okay, this could be something. And obviously, like having the opportunity to have something placed, it was a very fortunate situation. It wasn't just like, hey, let me send something out. It happened miraculously.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I watched some of your other interviews. Shout out to React to the K. You've done a few on there. Those were amazing. And sorry, our live stream temporarily disconnected or something, but we should be live again shortly. But yeah, man, I watched one of those interviews and you talked about your music journey growing up, and you mentioned the Ohio players briefly that your father kind of introduced you to them. And LC can attest to this, man. I've been going on like a 70s funk binge. I feel like my spirit was born there somehow. And it's crazy that you mentioned those guys, because I'm from Ohio. I'm here in Ohio.
Okay.
And I'm decorating our studio. I've got some Ohio players albums. But I wanted to know, as far as writing music, how big is your personal life and influence in your writing? Do you because these songs are going out to the masses, like how personal can you get with your writing when you're creating?
Well, that's interesting because there are, I would say at this point, because it's always evolving, the answer to that question is always evolving. But at this point, it's about a balance. Some of the stuff I do for K-pop isn't necessarily what I do for my own personal work, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to writing, lyrically, we can pretty much do whatever we want because a lot of the time it'll turn into something else. Yeah. So it gives you a chance to kind of flex your muscles and be vulnerable without being vulnerable on a lyrical space. And then they can interpret on the other end, on the Korean end, when they write lyrics that fit their group or their artists, they can fit it to what they want to do for their specific planned project, you know? Yeah. So it's a good opportunity to exercise style and take different approaches. But I would say it's always personal, you know? You always have to put a bit of your personality in everything that you do, even though it's not that thing that I would do for my personal project. There's still some of me in there. So yeah, there's a lot of sitting in the booth and pondering, you know, what I would prefer to do. Because it's something that at the end of the day, it's something that you want to be able to listen to. Yeah. Me and my good friend Tay Jasper, that's something we always talk about. It's like, I mean, we can do it this way, but are we going to want to listen to it later? Yeah. And even if that means, even if, let's say, because a lot of times the labels will ask you for some specifics on what they want for the music. And if it doesn't vibe with you, then you still have to take matters in your own hand to where it feels right. Yeah. Because if you're not able to feel it, then you're not able to sell it, you know? Yeah. And so I would say there's a lot of personal in everything. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely it's personal. But lyrically, I have a lot of fun. We just kind of go all over the place. That's awesome, man. You and Tay Jasper, I'm glad you mentioned him, have altered the way that I listen to music, man. So I have to thank you for that. Historically, like I grew up listening to hip hop. I was in urban culture. You know, I'm a tall basketball guy, so sports and hip hop and pop don't really go together. Like it's something that I wasn't. Well, it usually doesn't. Right? It usually doesn't. But you know, the world's changing, time's changing. You know, people are more open to more things. But honestly, I wasn't into pop music that much, and I heard '90s love, and I'm like, wait, I'm hearing references to Busta Rhymes. All right, who's doing their homework? These kids aren't old enough to know about Busta Rhymes. Like, you know, referencing some of the members of the group. So I want to know, I'm curious, the song 90s Love, how did that come about? Did they approach you guys like, hey, we have a concept? Or did you guys have a concept? Like, walk me through a little bit of how that song came to be. Okay, well, to be honest, I'm not the full authority on that one because I came in at about this 50 to 75% point of the song. Okay. But if I remember correctly, and Tay Jasper, he might correct the situation, he might jump in the comments or say something, but like kind of vibe with the track, that sort of New Jack Swing vibe. And they had this idea of like sort of a jukebox. I remember one of the things Jasper told me about was the bridge, the original. Back to the question, you were breaking down the process of 90s Love. The song was, 50% done. They kind of brought you on board to add the Adrian sauce on there. Tell us about that experience, man. Right. So the song was, there was a version of the song that was already completed, and they had some edit requests, the label did. And so that's when they called me in. But all of the Busta Rhymes ideas and the approach for the New Jack Swing production was already established. I don't know the details, but I do know that the majority of the writers on this song were of age to know the energy of what, the New Jack Swing, that whole movement was about. And a lot of the writers are actually 90s baby. I'm actually an 80s baby. So I was And I was in an age where that New Jack Swing was really hitting because I was of age to dance along with it. I wasn't a baby at the time, but yeah. So I was 100% in as soon as Jasper hit me up and was like, "Hey, you think you can take a swing at this?" I was like, "Yeah, let's go." But the song was already a party before I even jumped in. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and that's awesome because, like I said, that's the first K-pop song that I've ever heard. And had it not have grabbed me so much, we might not be here today, doing this interview because I was like, I can't
believe that was your first song that you heard that you guys.
That was the first K-pop song I've ever heard in my life. And it was a dopamine overdose. I'm hearing references to the 90s hip hop, and I'm seeing the visuals. I've never seen I wouldn't say never. That was the music video, because I'm into filmmaking. The music video, the production quality was so high, and I'm like, the song and the dancing and the choreography, that's something that I've never experienced here in America. Being primarily involved in American hip hop, I was like, this stuff is next level. So man, thank you for your work.
Hey man, thank you. I will say that's definitely one of the other draws to K-pop, and something that another thing I gravitated towards was the opportunity to do a little bit more melodically, more flex room for the producers, because you want to be able to change it up. That's what K-pop is about. Is like the change up and the unexpected. Yeah. What's funny is like with music, one of the greatest draws to music. Because I don't know how to get way off on the deep end, but as human beings, the way we've been surviving all these years is through one of our strengths is pattern detection, right? That's how we survive. Like that's just one of our innate abilities that we probably better than most other creatures on the planet. Yeah. And some of that applies to our music. Anticipation of what's to happen next. There's something satisfying about knowing what's going to happen. Resolving it in your mind and then hearing that resolution, like, okay, I hope the song goes here, and it goes there. But there's also an excitement for being thrown for a loop at the same time, going, oh, I didn't know it was going to go there, right? Yeah. I feel like K-pop plays with the latter more so than Western music, for sure. With Western music, you have a lot of loops, and that anticipation, that pattern detection, very relaxing, very soothing, very satisfying in that regard. But there's also satisfaction of the unexpected. Yeah. So it keeps you on your toes. That's why there's so much energy in it, because it's constantly changing. So your brain has to go, okay, what the heck is this? Oh, whoa, it's crazy. So I love that. That's one of the things I love the most about K-pop. Yeah, is that your job is to not throw people off, because things still have to make sense theoretically, or they don't have to actually. No, it's art at the end of the day. You can do whatever the heck you want. Right.
And I feel like the boundaries are being pushed on what makes sense and what doesn't. I'm hearing majors and minors. I'm hearing like a pre-chorus and into a chorus, and then like an after chorus. Like I'm hearing different song structures. Excuse my musicality. I'm not the most technical person, but I understand fully what you're saying about the resolution. I remember in college talking about, I took a writing class, and they were talking about building tension, and I correlated a 2-5-1 chord progression. You got the 2, and then the 5 kind of adds some tension, and then the resolution is back to the 1. And
very satisfying.
Yeah, it's satisfying. Yeah. And I think what caught me with K-pop too was, how is this possible? Like how am I hearing a banging beat like this, and then it somehow turned into R&B without me like knowing it was coming. So the punch between Tay Jasper's writing style and yours is like a match made in heaven. And
thank you.
It really, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say there are other writers involved in that song too. Absolutely. I know Outlaw is one of them. I'm sorry, I can't think of everybody. Producers, JL, I believe, and there's a few others. But again, I came in toward the latter end, so I just
oh yeah,
like, here's your job, do your job. So I was just focused on that. But shout out to all the writers in that song.
Yeah, for sure. And if I could, I would have them all on this interview. You know, I would love to give them all their flowers. I wanted to jump into, you talked about like some deep stuff just a second ago, man. And you also were involved in writing NCT's The Seventh Sense, which early in our like reaction journey, I kept saying to the people, that's my favorite K-pop song of all time. Okay. Like I was like, yo, whoa. That was early in the journey. Like it's I've got 55 other favorites now.
Sure.
But I was curious to know, like you were involved in that writing it. Was that one of your early like placements as a songwriter? And
it was.
And also, could you explain to me a little bit of the meaning behind that? This is a little bit of a selfish question because I love that song. I know the five senses. I've heard that you kind of have a sixth sense, you know, and the seventh sense. I'm kind of curious. What was your take? Were you involved in the title of that song?
Okay, so here's some behind the scenes. Actually, we were not involved in that title. That was their flipping the script. Yeah. Seventh Sense was whoever the writer is for that song on the Korean end. Okay. Our version of the demo was a little more westernized, a little more provocative. Yeah. As you can probably tell by the style of the music. The demo title was called All By Yourself. And I'll kind of let the people imagine what that's all about. But again, see, that's why it's so fun to be able to write for that market, is because you can kind of do whatever the heck you want. And what's cool about it too is we kind of flipped what All By Yourself meant. At first, it was a little more on the risque side of things. And then it kind of found its way into other realms of what All By Yourself could mean. And I mean, that one had some heavy hitters in it. Yeah. That one had Tay Jasper, myself. It had Lavin Kali, who's like an amazing musician. He's super hot right now. He's on the road. Sarah, who's like she's out of Finland. She's amazing and like one of the best vocalists I've ever heard ever. So she came and crushed that. She did a lot of the interesting background things. And then Mike J, that was produced by Bose Billions. And like, that was that experience. And here's the other part of it is like, you remember when you write these songs, you remember exactly where you were, what time of day, at least for me, what time of day it was, what we were eating that afternoon, what the vibe was like. It's like I don't have a photographic memory, but when we have sessions like that, it's like pristine in my mind. Like I remember exactly what was going on. And we started out just dabbling with ideas, melodies and things. We didn't really have a concept. I think Jasper was kind of playing with it at first. He and Sarah were kind of going back and forth on some things. He pulled me into the room to work on it. I was doing the melodies of da 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 da. Yeah, just playing with that a little bit. And I'm going off track here. The concept was completely different from Seventh Sense. Yeah, the Sixth Sense, that's arguable because a lot of people think the Sixth Sense is like the mind's eye, or it could be all other kinds of things. I have no idea what the Seventh is. No clue, bro. Yeah. No clue. But it sounds good. Yeah. I like the number 7. And I'm all about it. So
For sure. Because, you know, our company is called Higher Faculty, our brand, and, you know, it's based on the 6 higher faculties that you have, you know, intuition, perception, willpower, imagination, memory, reasoning, and, you know, I was trying to stretch and see if there was some type of connection there.
Oh, I bet it is, man. I like Higher Faculty as a concept. I think that's awesome. I honestly believe if we allow ourselves enough time, if we survive as human beings, eventually we won't really be using our mouths to speak. I think we'll be tapped in, everybody, you know, because we already have, in my opinion, I think we already have this ability. but it's going to require an evolution of empathy.
Yeah.
And an evolution of a few other faculties within us as human beings to be able to get there. But, and it might take some time, but I truly believe that.
That's awesome, man. I want to dive deep, like, into that conversation on our channel eventually. You know, I want to bring that to the forefront. That was the purpose of the name, you know, is just to inspire people to go deeper. Deeper inside themselves. And, you know, I hope that interviews like this can be a blessing to people who are creative and, you know, have deep reservoirs of, you know, creativity that needs to get out. And, you know, I feel like we can do the world a little bit of justice by bringing stories and people like you to the forefront, and just, you know, inspiring people, uplifting people, get them to tap in.
That's honestly all I hope to do. That's honestly, like, I didn't know where this journey, you know, how this journey was I wasn't expecting any of this, right? So now I'm in a place of just like gratitude. And so I'm just going to try and reside there. No matter what's going on in my personal life, no matter what's going on in, you know, in my social life, pandemics, all that stuff, whatever's going on, at the end of the day, my goal is to hopefully I'm radiating positivity in some form or fashion. And so it's really cool to be able to connect with people musically. And I'm just grateful, super grateful.
Yeah, man. Tell me about your experience. How has your experience as an artist evolved from when you were that young kid moving out to LA, you know, trying to figure it out, to now becoming like a monster songwriter? How has music changed for you since then?
That honestly it's a bit of a struggle, because you know how they talk about how, like, gosh, where do I go with this one? This is a tough one, because I was just dealing with this recently in my head. I was kind of going through it, had some dreams about it. It's the whole notion of when your passion becomes your job, and when your passion starts to feel like a job, what do you do to sort of remedy that situation? And so that's why, you know, we were just talking about gratitude and just going back into the love of what it was. And I've been spending a lot of time tapping into what I'm passionate about, or what I was passionate about in the beginning. And not that I've forgotten, but just really digging in and trying to get that energy back.
Yeah.
I can say without, you know, for sure, inspiration from what my dad listened to, all that music, growing up in the 80s, a lot of the 1980s rock and roll actually was a big inspiration. Michael Jackson was obviously, for me, it was the biggest inspiration. And, you know, but you've got like Sam Cooke, you've got like Ohio players. I'm just now tapping into Prince. I didn't really listen to a whole lot of Prince growing up, and and I feel really guilty about that. But now I'm kind of going back to his albums and Spotify and checking out all this stuff. Well, he's amazing.
As long as you're alive, there's opportunity.
Yeah, as long as you're alive, there's opportunity. That's really good. So, digging into that, making all of my music from scratch is what I used to do. I didn't have producers send me beats like they do now for me to write on top. It's a way to expedite the process, but I'm a big fan of having a chord structure and then creating from that standpoint. And it usually takes you to other places you haven't really been to in a while. So where I'm at right now, to answer your question, is a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's this balance where I'm still, obviously we got to keep the lights on. So I'm going to still dig in and do what I need to do. And I still love it, which is really important. I get tracks from some of my favorite producers and I write to it. And then on my downtime, and this is the balancing act is tricky because, you know, you get your requests and they want them like urgent. So you got to stick with that. But then you have to kind of step back from that, go to your keyboard and just go, you know, just go into outer space for a little while and just and digging that way, because that's triggering neurons that haven't been triggered for a little while. You know, we're hitting regions of the brain that need to be exercised. Yeah. And so that's kind of been a really big motivator for me right now, is digging in and like the seeds, playing with the seeds a little bit more than I have been recently. Yeah.
I don't know if I answered
your question or not.
You did, man, and I understand that fully because I've lived it as well. Okay. You know, I shoot videos, and oftentimes, you know, like you said, you got to keep the lights on. You know, I'm filming weddings, I'm filming corporate videos, commercials for small businesses, little social media content, but you know, that balance in between creating something from the heart, you know, what you love to do. Like I was making kind of TikTok-ish videos in like high school. I'm talking like 07, 08, 09. And, you know, video was just fun to me. It was a way I could express myself. And then, you know, we started doing like little funny skits and stuff with the camera. Like, I did like a Gatorade commercial, and I'm like, you know, nowadays it's like, you know, starting to feel like a job again, but you know, I'm grateful. I'm extremely blessed, you know, that I could do videography full time. You know, I've been in situations where I couldn't. So I get where you're coming from. You know, how do you, as a creator, you know, create and you know, be commissioned, but also keep the drive going to push forward and do what you love to do, man. And for me, I went back to learning, like that's what kind of motivates me again, is like, all right, I don't know everything. Like, what can I learn? Like, let me, let me study some cinematography. Like, let me learn about camera angles and movement and stuff that I've never done before. And it really inspires me to like get out there and try something. So yeah.
And to add to that, it's also surprising yourself, right? Try to come up, like, even take different approaches. So with a lot of songwriters, what we do is we have these sort of, your goal is to try to, you know, get your idea down as quickly as possible. And well, not quickly, but as efficiently as possible, let's say, and then move on to the next song. And a lot of times that has to do with templates, you know. So your recording software, you have your template. You're going into this preamp, you're going into this compressor, this EQ, whatever order, and you typically just switch that on. You drag the track in, and then you just get to work, right? Because it's quick and efficient. But sometimes it really helps me to keep me excited about it, to go in there and do something I wouldn't normally do. With my signal chain. I might throw in some kind of distortion effect while I'm recording, just to hear how it sounds and to kind of inspire a different approach, melodically or even, you know, verbally or kind of energetically. So that's always fun to do too. But my whole problem is I have so much fun with it that I might get sidetracked and I just kind of dial. I trick with the knobs and I'm like, oh my gosh, 2 hours have passed and I've only got like one line down.
The rabbit hole.
So you got to be careful with that. Yeah, the rabbit hole is real when it comes to songwriting. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your experience actually going to Korea and meeting some of these idols. You know, you weren't really hip to K-pop until you like were in it. And then like for me, a guy who just like is like in the K-pop, like I'm in the flow right now, like the WayV. What's it like to actually go to Korea, like especially as an American, and then you know, work with some of these huge labels?
Well, first of all, it's incredible. It's amazing. Seoul, Korea is one of the most interesting places I've ever been to. There's a different kind of energy out there. From a creative standpoint, people are so many pretty people there. just beautiful people. We were in the Gangnam district the first several years that I went, and so it's basically like the Beverly Hills of Seoul. And so we're walking around shopping, trying to go to like all these cool stores just to check out the scene. And everybody's got like, they're just tripped. Like everybody, the dogs are super clean, and so that was a really interesting thing to see. Very cool, very hip, you know. And there was an inspiration there too, and just kind of talking with people about because we just have conversation with a lot of the A&Rs there.
Yeah.
Most of my trips took place with SM Entertainment. So it was, the A&Rs there, and they would sort of tell us their life stories and kind of things they go through in Korea. And so it kind of helps you to kind of get inspired from, in terms of how to write K-pop.
Yeah.
Because then you can kind of tap into what's their livelihood about, and then what concepts can we utilize in the song that would be relatable for them.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to have the A&Rs come in, or the artists come in and be like, yo, that's cool. I like that. That helps inspire like a direction.
Yeah.
Not to say that we're in there spinning our wheels or anything. Like we're working and we have ideas for ourselves, but it really helps to kind of to go back and forth between A&Rs or artists in terms of songwriting. But the experience going out there every single time is incredible. And I really hope that we can open those gates again soon. Because these last couple of years have been, the video conferences and doing writing camps online, which has been great, a godsend, but there's nothing like being in the room with your collaborators, with the staff, with the artists, and creating in that regard. Because that's how it's meant to be, We're talking drum circles. This is that powwow stuff. That's what sessions are supposed to feel like. So
that's amazing, man. Tapping in and getting to experience the culture and be around the artists and, catch the vibes and the energy that they bring. Yeah, I can see that. That's huge. That's probably big inspiration.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So one of the things that we talk about, at Higher Faculty is we combine education and entertainment. So from an education standpoint, a young, hungry songwriter, a young potential Adrian McKinnon in the making wants to work with labels, do international music. What advice would you give to them? Do they need to get registered on any platforms or what do they need to be doing with their craft?
I would say, okay, if you're in my shoes, one of the biggest helpful things for me was just to have my own facilities to record with. There was a time when songwriters could just go to a producer, they'll hit the record button for you, you sing your bit, and then, hopefully the producer gets it together and then ships it off. But we're kind of not in that age anymore. That still exists, and some people might prefer it that way. But the biggest advantage is for you to dig in and figure out how to record yourself. Doesn't have to be the most pristine quality. Just if you have those ideas, get them down. And then, that's where you start to network. You reach out to people. I wish I had the kind of social media that exists now back when I was trying to start as an artist back in 2004, 2005. And so the opportunities are so there. And then there's a lot of applications, obviously like Instagram. That's how we connect. Elon Musk just bought Twitter, so we'll see what happens with that. And then I have a friend actually who just did a startup. I'm gonna do a shameless plug, but there's an app called Voulm, VUULM, and it's pretty much like SoundCloud, but I think it gives you a little bit more of a pristine space to where you can put your music in and share it with other people. And there's sort of a publishing aspect to it too. Yeah. Feel free to check that out. But publishing is another big help. I've been in sessions with people who didn't have publishing at first, and me or Jasper had brought them in, and they ended up getting a deal after the song was plugged, because the label labels prefer to work with people who have publishing because that's the best way to network and pipeline your money so you can get paid properly, and all the paperwork is good. So look into that. Don't do any bad deals. Don't sell your soul. Because it could take you a long time to dig out of that. But get yourself especially if you were if you can run it all yourself. Do as much for yourself as you can before you go to someone else to try, to sign deals, because the more clout you have before you sign, the better your deal is going to be. Because you have a lot more negotiation room at the table. But it's just a matter of getting started and creating music. Start a catalog for yourself. And once you're tapped in, it could be a snowball effect for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome advice.
Yeah.
And your partner with the app, shoot me the info, man, if I can help promote it, any way I can. Sure. Cool. I would love to be a resource for that.
Cool.
So let's talk more recent K-pop.
Okay.
What was your latest release? Could you fill me in?
What was my latest release? I feel like there's something after
Hello Future.
Hello Future, and then came a couple others. There was Bad Love, which is Key.
Yeah.
Wrote that one with Kenzie. I think that came after Hello Future. Good question.
Actually, yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go.
The most recent one was On You from SHINee.
Nice.
Gosh, we love this song. Wrote the song with Sam Kim, Tay Jasper, Michelle Cho, and the song is called On the Way.
Yeah.
And it's such a vibey song. It really has this sort of Marvin Gaye approach. This guy, Sam Kim, is an incredible artist. And we were fortunate enough to write with him over at Iconic Sounds, a different label publishing team. And we just sat down and just started shooting the breeze a little bit. Crushed that song. And then On You, that song was actually sitting for a few years, just kind of chilling. And Cha Cha Malone produced it, by the way. And when On You took the song, it sounds identical, pretty near identical, but in Korean to the demo. And I was just so impressed with what this guy did. And that was definitely my most recent one. We have some other ones in the works, but that was the most recent one.
That is awesome, man. I'm glad you brought up Sam Kim because his soulfulness is one of a kind, man. Like when I heard his music, somebody was like, "Oh, Fredo, I know you love R&B. Like you'll love Sam Kim." And I went down the rabbit hole. I got to confess to our audience right now, I've listened to Sam Kim that I have not reacted to. That's kind of one of the things I do on the channels. I only listen with the viewers, but I got a little selfish, man. I went down the rabbit hole, so that's awesome.
Well, that's a sign right there that you really like this guy.
Oh yeah, awesome, man. Yeah. I listen to your stuff too, man. You and Tay got that song. Is it Two Up?
Two Up, yeah.
Oh, that's on my playlist, man. I've been listening to that for a couple months, man.
That's what's up, man. I'm glad you like it. We have more. We're just trying to find the right time to do the release because we want to do good marketing with it as well. And that's always tough when we all have work and we all have families and we all have this and that. But
yeah. Pretty understandable. All right. So a couple questions, man, before you get out of here. Our Patreon members had a few questions for you. I don't have my notes, but I remember off the top, it was Teresa and Melly want to know your experience working with Kenzie from SM. From what I understand, she enjoys her privacy. I haven't seen her on the internet at all, but she is legendary. And, people just want some insight on, that process.
Kenzie, I refer to her as my my teacher, my Songwriter. She's the one who taught me the odds and ends, the details, the importance of the changes and things like that. And sitting down in a room with her is not only a major privilege that I revere very much, but also very inspiring. I can sit down. Well, what we do is, we give each other a big hug. We talk about life, And then we just start singing melodies back and forth to each other. We start speaking in music to one another.
Yeah.
And once we like something, she'll throw me in front of the mic and I'll sing something. And we come up with this really cool melody. And then her harmony game, like I try to pride myself on my harmonies. I really enjoy doing my harmonies. And it's something that I was always a big fan of, listening to like my dad's doo-wop stuff. But she's like a machine the way she works.
Yeah.
She's so efficient. She knows all the options.
Mm-hmm.
She knows all the options, bro. Like, you understand? Like,
yeah,
she'll sit down and she's like, okay, go eat something and then come back. And after the top line is laid out, I come back and it's just amazing work. And then she'll have me come in and re-sing all the parts. And it's just, it's inspiring. One of the big things she always told me, and this is like just a really good sort of just life lesson, but really helpful in like a session. I get a little into like a perfectionist mode a lot of the time where I'll go in and want to just get this thing exactly right. And she always reminds me of the big picture. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'll get zoomed in with anything that we're doing. Sometimes we'll be so focused on that one thing and we're trying so hard and we keep like, dropping the ball, whatever the case may be. A lot of times you just have to take a break.
Yeah.
Come back to it with sort of a fresh mind and a fresh approach, or just zoom out and visit another part of the song. Because who says you have to write a song in order? Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus. You don't have to. Attack the chorus first. Go after the ending. What do you feel inspired to do? And so she's always on top of that. Like when she sees like, where's the morale right now in the room? And she'll be able to go, okay, let's go here. And I'm like, that was a great suggestion. Thank you so much. And then we'll go back to that thing we might have been stuck on a little bit, and the idea is ready to go. So she's such a motivational, inspirational person. Mm-hmm. She's very sweet, very solid, and I just love her. She's great.
That is amazing, man. My fingers will always be crossed to someday meet her, someday interview her, and get her to spread some of that genius energy she has into the universe.
Well, next time I get on the horn with her, I'll just tell her there are some individuals who would love to
Kenzie, we are after you. We want to give your sauce. We want you to give the sauce to those young. There's just some young women out there who would love to be to learn from her, any way possible. And we just want to be an outlet for people to, connect and learn things, man. So, but now I would appreciate that, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think there was one more question from our Patreon. Woli says, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. She said, what was the most surprising source of inspiration that you got from a song? Like as far as writing a song, like what was the most surprising source of inspiration that you ever gotten?
Most surprising source of inspiration. I feel like there's a lot. There was, one time, one thing that came up just now was, one of the times I went out there in Korea, I got extremely sick. It was like a 1.5 day flu. And I couldn't make the session. There's no possible way. I would have thrown up. It would have been a mess.
Yeah.
And I was so motivated. Now I felt like I let so many people down because it was a really big session that day.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to make it. So I went out and I went for a walk. I knew it wasn't going to be a long flu. So I went out and I went for a walk. I walked around town. I had my mask on. This was before masks were a thing in the US, by the way. Out there, they've been doing masks forever. So this whole mask thing wasn't a big deal to us. But anyway, I was out there, I was walking around, taking in the air, just seeing the people. And I saw this conversation between these two women in a coffee shop because I went to go get some lemon tea, trying to help with the throat and whatever else was going on with me. And I had no idea what they were saying, but it was just one of those moments again. It wasn't in a setting, but you were just kind of sitting down and I wasn't trying to be like a creep and watching these ladies like a creep, but there was something about the way the sun was coming in the window, the way that they were sitting in the corner, and how they're having this sort of like fanciful time and just loving on each other. They really enjoyed each other's company, and then they left, and I was just inspired and started coming up with some lyrics for the song, and I decided to go that same day. I was like, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be fine. It was like toward the end of the day, but I went in there and we were able to knock something out pretty quickly. And the lyrics from that experience were able to sort of expedite the process. So that's one of the experience. There's plenty. There were I've had negative experiences that turned out to make, you know how like when someone tries to challenge you and you're like, I can't. You're telling me I can't do something? Okay, we'll see. And then, you know, and then you can just flip the script. I've had several of those. But yeah, there's so many inspirations.
That's amazing, man. Love is a vibration, man. He caught the vibes that day, and it was enough to give you, you know, some power to go get it done.
Right.
Awesome, man. So it's been an hour, man. I don't want to, you know, take up too much of your time. You know, so how much time do we have left?
Well, I'm happy to take any more questions that the people might have.
Yeah, because I did want to give somebody in the comments a chance to ask you a question.
Sure.
Just to give back for the fans. But I appreciate your time in the meanwhile, man. You are definitely an inspiration of mine. I'm not really a songwriter, but I'm a creator. And, you know, I look for inspiration anywhere I can find it.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
If I'm ever out in Ohio, if I'm ever heading that way, I'll let you know. I'll see if we can link up.
It's not much to do here, man. You know, but you know, if I'm ever out in Texas, I might just, you know, hit the line and be like, yo, I'm here. I got friends, I got family out there.
For sure. Yeah, let me know, man. You never know. South by Southwest.
Yeah, man. I was kind of disappointed because I was trying to get out there, man, this year, but couldn't make it. Did you go?
I did, yeah. In fact, I was helping he's my former manager. He's like a brother to me now. He's doing the project for that Vulm app we were just talking about. So I was helping promote that around the town just to get artists, you know, platform. But yeah, it was great.
That's awesome, man. And how was the I saw you were on a panel with Berklee.
Yes. I just received the email on the video of that. So I think it's going to be posted pretty soon. That was an experience, man. That was my first time going out, and Dr. Haeju Kim reached out to me, asking if I could come out there with Kairos, who's another amazing producer, and we did this really great panel. We spoke with a lot of aspiring students, and that was an incredible experience. I really hoped for something like that to happen again, because we really enjoyed our time. And it was so cool to just connect with the students directly, listen to their projects, and just kind of give them some ideas, talk about the stuff we love, some of the stuff that might use improvement. And they were so warm and accepting there. It was a great experience.
That is awesome, man. Haeju Kim, she invited us to do a panel as well a couple months back. And, you know, I was extremely honored to be a part of that. And then I saw that you and, you know, those guys were doing another one. So I can't wait to check that out, man. You know, I'm a huge fan and I want to, you know, get some game. So I'll just ask this question.
Okay.
Do you ever, I got this from the comments. I have got no clue is the name of that person.
I have got no clue.
She says, he or she says, you know, I wonder if they ever want to keep songs to themselves, basically.
Oh, man.
Because
so many times.
You've got so many hits, EXO, Tempo.
Yeah. So Tempo was actually one of them. So, well, Tempo, it wasn't picked up right away, basically. And so we had this idea to sort of start like our own group, me, Jasper, and a few other individuals. Like, yo, we could, if we did this, it's kind of like our version of it was kind of closer to like the Silk Sonic side of things. And we loved that demo so much that we were like, what if we just kept it?
Mhm.
But eventually the conversation started up about that song potentially becoming a single. And we were like, well, we can make more. When we found out that Anya was going to pick up On the Way,
Mhm.
On the Way was one of those songs. It was one of those demos that was on my playlist. I used to listen to over and over and over again. And I was actually happy to hear that Anya was going to sing it. But there was a point where I was like, well, I wonder if like Sam Kim might take this one, because the demo with his vocals on it were so good. But it was, I'm, you know, at the end of the day, I'm always happy that someone's interested in taking a song. So there's never any regrets. But there are several songs that once you make it, you're like, oof.
Mm-hmm.
But we already agreed to, you know, it's already an agreement. So you can't really like try and snatch it from people, because that's bad form. You know, you don't want to do that.
Bad business, man.
Yeah.
No, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Thank you for joining, man. This was incredible.
Pleasure.
You know, I hope to have you back someday on the show. We got to get LC in the house. You know, he's a huge fan of you as well. You know, our journey with K-pop, man, has so many highlights, so many great moments. And, you know, I'm excited to see, you know, some of the faces behind K-pop and get some of the stories. And you are an amazing talent. I hope that somebody can draw some inspiration from this interview. And best of luck to you, man.
Much appreciated, man. Thank you for inviting me. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Thank you all for tuning in. I just hope to have more music for you soon, and we will. We've got more.
Oh, for sure. So we'll definitely be in the loop, man. Much love.
All right. Take care, man.
Thank you all for tuning in. I want to give a big shout out to faculty fan members worldwide. People have supported us. Some of you have been on this journey with us since we heard the song 90s Love. And the fact that we've come full circle to talk to one of the writers on that song and get some inspiration and some game from him is huge. So I want to thank everybody who supported us, you know, at any given moment along the journey. You know, you guys truly are amazing and give us life, give us hope and energy to keep continuing and pushing on. And we hope that you enjoy this interview, and we look forward to doing more of this content in the future. If you like it, most definitely hit the subscribe button. Hey, share it with your grandma, grandpa, uncle, cousin, friend. Much love and appreciation. Till next time. Peace.
And when you come up, stay down. You heard?